Hello, today's lesson is on vertical angles in algebra. Use your knowledge of vertical angles to find the value of x and the measure of the angles. Show your work. The angles are not drawn to scale. So just to review vertical angles are across the vertex from each other and they're congruent, meaning they have exactly the same measurement. So the pair that we see are vertical angles and the pair that we're not given anything are also vertical angles. So first it says find the value of x. So let's do that. If we know that vertical angles are congruent, then we can say that they're equal to each other. So we're going to put 6x equals x plus 35. And now if you recall working with variables on both sides, we have to eliminate one of them, and we usually choose the weaker one. So I'm going to take away 1x on this side. So that's our first step. So I'm going to have 5x on the left side, and we've eliminated the 1x on the right side, and now we have positive 35 left over. Now we're going to eliminate the coefficient 5. Side by side means multiplied, so we're going to do the opposite, which is dividing by 5 on both sides. Eliminating the 5, and now you have x equals 7. Next it says find the measurement of both vertical angles by substituting the value of x. Show your work. And it did mention both. So we want to go back and see what they gave us for both of those vertical angles. So we're going to start with 6x. And we now know that x equals 7. So we're going to replace x, it's called substituting for the variable, with 7. So 6 times 7 is 42. Now if all is well, when we put 7 in the other, or substitute 7 in the other expression, we're going to get 42 as well. Let's see. So the other expression is x plus 35. We now know that x equals 7. So we're going to substitute 7. We're going to add 35 to it. And yes, it is 42. So those angles equal 42 degrees. So let's write that in. We know that this angle is 42 degrees, and we know that this angle is 42 degrees. And next direction says find the measure of the obtuse angles. Well, if you notice the ones that are given, and 42 is an acute angle, that means that the one next to it, adjacent along this line, so this angle is obtuse, and then also this angle is obtuse, and they're vertical from each other. They're vertical angles, and so they are therefore congruent. So once we figure out one, we can figure out the other. Well, we do that by acknowledging that this little straight line has 180 degrees. All together, this would be 180 degrees, those two angles together. So that's a supplementary relationship. So if I wanted to know the obtuse angle, I could take 180 minus 42. Be sure you borrow, and it should be 138. So we now know that this angle is 138, and since it is vertical to this angle, it is 138. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, before we begin this, we need to mark points on the angle. So would you mark this as E? The vertex we're going to call F. This point we'll call G, and this point we'll call H. All right, so it asks us to find the value of x. And here's what we're given. We're given an expression on both sides. This is a vertical relationship. They're across the vertex from each other. So that tells us that these two are equal. So we're going to write 3 parentheses x plus 4 equals x plus 72. So now we need to move forward by first using the distributive property. 3 times x would be 3x. 3 times positive 4 would be positive 12 or plus 12. And on the other side, we don't need to simplify that. So now we have 2 terms that are x terms and 2 terms that are constants, but they're on different sides of the wall, or the equal sign. So we're going to build a wall. Again, we need to eliminate the weakest group of variables on one side of the equation, so I'm going to choose to eliminate 1x on both sides. So no longer have 1x, we have 2x plus 12 equals 72. That's left over. Now I'm going to eliminate the constant on the left side, that 12. And now we have 2x equals 60. And we're going to divide by 2. And the answer is x equals 30. So we now know what x equals. And we've been asked now to find the measurement of e to f to g. So e to f to g would be this angle. So we want to know the value of this angle. And we're given 3x plus 4. So we're going to substitute where the x is. We're going to replace x with 30. And then to that, we're going to add 4. And then we're going to multiply that by 3. Now that it's numbers, we no longer have to use the distributive property to release the parentheses. In fact, when it's numeric or we have numbers, we can go ahead and just add these two numbers. That's what order of operations would say to do. Do what's in the parentheses first. So we have 34, and 3 times 34 is 102. So just to check, to make sure, if I replaced this side, this expression, with 30, that's our answer, and 30 plus 72 would also be 102. So we're confident now that this angle is 102 degrees. So we'll go ahead and circle that, and I like to mark it in my diagram. And now they want us to find the measurement of g to f to h, g to f to h. And so I have to realize that this is a supplementary relationship with the angle that I now know. So 102 plus this angle are going to equal 180. So I can do it algebraically, or I can just take 180 minus 102. Again, we want to borrow. And it's 78. So this should be 78 degrees. And because they're vertical, we could also, they didn't ask, but we could say this is 78. We could also say that this is 102. So let's go to the final. Let's move to the final. All right. So once again, we're given two angles that are vertically across from each other. If we look at this, these two angles equal one another. They're vertical. So it asks us to find the value of x. So we're going to start just like we did last time with 9x plus 12, and it equals 7x plus 44. So we want to now solve to find the value of x. We're going to build our wall. We're going to eliminate the weaker group of variables. In this case, it's 7. So we're going to take away 7x. And it doesn't matter, we could eliminate the 9x, but it would give us negative numbers, and we prefer not to do that. So we've eliminated that group. On this side, we have 2x left over plus 12. And on this side, 44, positive 44 is left over. Now we're going to get rid of the constant by subtracting 12 on both sides. So we've eliminated the 12, leaving 2x equals 32. And then last but not least, we're going to divide by the coefficient of 2, eliminating the 2, and we have x equals 16. So x equals 16. We're asked now to find the measure of the acute angles. Well, that's these two angles. The obtuse angles greater than greater than 90. So I'm going to do this first. I can choose either one, and most of the time I go ahead and check both. But I'm going to go ahead and take 9x, the first one I see, 9x plus 12, and I'm going to replace the x with 16, then multiply by 9, and then add 12. 9 times 12 is 144, plus 12 more is 156. So this angle is 156. If I wanted to double check, I would take 7x plus 44. I would replace x with 16, and then I'd multiply it by 7 and add 44, and hopefully we're going to get 156 back. 7 times 16 is 112, and 112 plus 44 would indeed be 156. So we now know that these are 156. And that's important because now we can find the acute angles. Once we have the measurement of the ones that they gave us, the ones that are given, now we can figure out what the other angles are. And we're going to do that by recalling that these two angles together are on a straight line, which is 180 degrees, so that's a supplementary relationship. We're going to take 180 minus 156, I'm going to borrow, and it's 24. So that means that this angle is 24 degrees, and this angle is also 24 degrees. So the acute angles are 24 degrees. Thanks for listening, and have a great day. Bye-bye.